Direct debits seem like a simple and convenient way to pay for goods and services. But if you do not keep track of what you are paying for using this method, your bank account could definitely be taking a hit unnecessarily. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reece, and in today's video, I am diving into why direct debits can have a negative impact on your finances and why companies want you to utilize this service more than anything. Alistair Hanton, an employee for Unilever back in 1964, first introduced the idea of direct debits, the whole concept of it, to the board of directors, I can only assume. And this, from a business perspective, was genius. Today, basically any service can be paid for through direct debits. I'm talking your rent, your mortgage repayments, your insurances, your phone plan, your streaming services, anything really that has a monthly subscription fee, it can be put onto a direct debit. Now, generally speaking, some of these services will be cheaper to pay for a full year up front, technically saving you more money in the long term. And I've actually discussed this topic in a previous video titled How to Save More by Spending, and I've linked it down in the description below if you're interested in checking it out. But what I have now started to notice is businesses changing their ways and adapting a little bit to make it more enticing for the customer to set up their payment method via direct debit, regardless or irrespective of if you pay weekly, fortnightly, monthly, or annually. Now, personally, I really like the convenience of direct debits. I actually love the idea behind it. It's a great idea, but I, at the time of recording this video, do not pay for anything using direct debit or utilizing direct debit. I have lots of things that I could, but I choose not to, and I'm going to explain why right now. And before I do dive into why I choose not to use this service, I want to just say that I do sign up to new services using the direct debit payment method. Two that come to mind are my gym membership and my health insurance. Why? Because they offered incentives for me to sign up via that method. So I signed up, got the incentives, which I think they were 2 months of free membership for those two services, where I signed up for the first payment with a direct debit, waited until just before the next payment was due, canceled the direct debit component, and then went on to manual payments. So I got the reward without staying on direct debits. So with that in mind, let's dive into why I choose not to utilize this service. Simply put, there are traps that are hidden well within direct debits. It's why companies offer this as a service and why I am so not necessarily against it, but cautious of using this service. I know people that have actually fallen into these traps, and I'm going to cover a few of them right now just to give you some perspective. So let's start with why a company wants you to sign up utilizing this method. Let's think about it like this. You sign up using the direct debit payment method, and a company has now just got another person where they are adding a consistent amount of cash flow each month from you, the paying customer. It is in their best interest to retain you as a customer and make it as difficult as possible to cancel that subscription, because if they can guarantee you for another month, that is another month of income their business is going to receive. So as a worst case kind of scenario that I'm going to give you here, I know someone personally who had a subscription service and they were paying via direct debit. So every month, a certain amount of money would come out of their bank account. Now they wanted to cancel this service, and there was no option at the time to cancel this online. So what they did was they tried to email the company and contact them via phone over the course of about 2 months. I'm not going to say they were the most active or proactive person I've ever met in my life. They were a little bit lazy, but they took about 2 months. So they paid for an extra 2 months of that service when they did not want to. And what I found out they ended up doing was they canceled the bank account, or they closed the bank account that was attached to where those payments were being taken out from, which is incredibly extreme, but it worked. The company then got in contact with them and said, hey, your payment method for this month didn't work. Why is that? And they finally got in touch with them and said, I want to cancel my service, please cancel it. Now, this is a worst case scenario, but just to set the tone, that company got paid for an extra 2 months, and that person never received a refund for those 2 months that they paid extra. That is trap 101 with direct debits. There's one thing that I really don't like. If you're manually paying for something, it's you having to put that information in, key that information into the payment system that they have online or over the phone, however it is you might pay for that service. But it's one to really be aware of, because I have seen it happen before, and it absolutely belongs in today's video because that's what I'm talking about. Another trap that I personally have fallen into was back when I was a little bit younger. I wasn't really aware of fine prints and contracts and how they worked, to the extent that I probably should have been aware before signing one. Now, this again was something similar to a streaming service, and I didn't read the fine print. I didn't understand what I was getting into. I set up direct debits, canceled the service online, no worries this time. It wasn't a matter of the company telling me that I wasn't able to cancel my subscription. It was all good. I went through the online process to cancel my subscription, and I got charged an exit fee or a cancellation fee, which in my mind is just ridiculous. But at the time, it was there. It was in the fine print, and there was nothing I could do. They would not refund the money that I had put down for that service, which is incredibly frustrating. So keep that one in mind as well. Now, the next one is kind of the person's fault, the person who's utilizing the service. It's not the fault of direct debits, but direct debits are the thing that kind of screw you over in the end because it's an automated system. In this instance, again, I know people who have not had enough money in the account where the direct debit is going to be taken from. They haven't transferred money from their savings account to the account that direct debits were going to come out of. And when the account was charged, there wasn't enough money in there, so they had to pay what's called an overdraft fee. So the bank charges them for overdrafting. They almost give them credit. They technically do give them credit to pay for that service, and they charge them a fee for it. Now, the businesses as well, in some circumstances, also get charged a fee. And guess who they pass that on to? You, the consumer. If you don't have money to pay for that service, and the business is going to get charged a fee, they will pass that on to you. So you get double the amount of fees, plus you need to pay for that service when you technically might have had the money in your account, just not in the right account at the time, so you get screwed over. Whereas if it's not on direct debit and you need to manually make that payment, you're going to be aware of that payment coming, that you need to make that payment in the coming days, coming weeks, whatever it is, and actually action yourself or take action to make sure that there's the right amount of money in that account that you're paying from so you avoid these fees. And finally, this one's kind of a two-parter. So the first part of this is that companies will just charge you consistently as long as you're signed up to a direct debit. If you forget about a particular payment and aren't someone who checks your accounts regularly, you're just going to continuously get charged for that service. You're not going to have the opportunity to cancel it because you've forgotten about it. I know people who have, I'll use a gym membership as an example, who have had a gym membership and not gone in 2 years, but because it's a direct debit and it's convenient and it's set up, and sometimes they're probably not thinking about it on the week that they get charged, they are paying for a service that they are not using. Whereas if it was a manual payment, every year, every 12 months, you have to go and make that payment, you're actively making the decision to do that. So it's on your mind. And if you don't want to go and do it, you can say, no, I'm canceling that subscription. I'm done with that. I'm not renewing for another year. This is incredibly common. I know lots of people who do this with lots of different services, and it adds up. The second part to this point as well is that companies change their fees. They adjust them. Premiums go up, and they will notify you in one way or another. It might be a cheeky email which makes its way to your junk mail. So you might then have to pay a premium for a service where you know somewhere else that you could get it for cheaper. So in this instance, again, you're losing because direct debits are going to be taken from your account to pay for that service plus the premium when there could be a better option out there, and you have no reminder whatsoever to renew that service or adjust that service because they are taking your money. Whereas, let's use a phone plan as an example. If you were paying, I don't know, $20 a month for your phone service, your phone provider said, we're going to now charge you $30 a month. They would have to tell you that. And if you weren't on direct debits, then you would have to go to manually pay your bill, and you'd say, oh, hang on, it's $30. What's happening here? And you can investigate. You can look for better competition, better prices, whatever it may be, and actually save money in the long run. Leading on from this point is to check for competition. This is such an important thing to do. There is many different companies and businesses out there that have a similar service to provide. Let's use a gym membership, for example. I have maybe 5 or 6 gyms within my local area that I could sign up to, which are all in competition. If you speak to, let's say, half of them, the fact is that you're probably going to get a better offer from at least one of them. In simple terms, a couple of phone calls a day, by manually paying for your services, you're going to be able to find a cheaper and better option which still meets your criteria and needs. That's just one thing to think about, and one thing to definitely pursue when you're signing up to services and even negotiating with these people that you're trying to sign up to these services for, because generally they will try and beat their competition, which means you're going to get the service for cheaper. I personally believe I save somewhere between $500 and $5,000 a year across all of my services that I pay for because I looked for cheaper options because I'm not being lazy and complacent because my direct debits are set up. One example is my car insurance. I have managed to find a cheaper insurance for my car every single year by about $100 for the last 4 or 5 years. I could actually look it up. I have those statistics tracked in my spreadsheet, but the point is I know for a fact that I have got it cheaper each year and I'm still getting covered for the exact same thing. So there's one thing to keep in mind as well is, like I said, is it all adds up. That's just one example. That's $100 a year. Now I could find you 5 more examples, which would make it $1,000 for that year. That is a lot of money for some people. That is my entire phone bill and probably petrol spending for the entire year. That is a new set of tires for my car. That is my insurance premium for my health insurance, whatever it may be. The point is $1,000 goes a long way for the 15 minutes of effort it takes me to find these better options. And one quick suggestion I highly recommend doing as well, if you are someone who does utilize direct debits and has a credit card, is to use your credit card for those direct debits. Most of the time, if you need to cancel a direct debit and you just cannot do it any way other than canceling or closing that account, a bank account, I would highly recommend having it on a credit card because a credit card is easy to cancel. And generally, you have some pretty good cover using credit cards. The banks will probably refund you for the money if you can prove that it was too difficult to get in contact with the company before they were able to cancel your service. To wrap this video up, there is nothing wrong with utilizing the direct debit payment method. Just keep in mind that it was designed to maximize a company's ability to retain you as a customer. It's technically convenient for the customer, but it was designed for the business to make more money. Be aware of the implications from using or utilizing the direct debit payment method, and always check, do a monthly or a 2-monthly check on all of the things that you're paying for via direct debit to make sure everything is in order. If you are someone who uses direct debits to pay for goods and services, just keep what I've discussed in today's video at the back of your mind. At the end of the day, it's your money. Why not be in control of it? And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you got something from it. I hope it was insightful. If it was, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really does help the channel grow and I appreciate the support. And with that being said, have a good day, have a good week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.